Hi everybody, it's Susan with Pumpkin Hill Stampers. I have a Stampin' Show and Tell for you today. Today we're going to be playing with the Swirly Bird stamp set, and then I'm also tying in with it the Lift Me Up for our expression there. And today we're going to play with the Stamparatus. So this is my first go at using the Stamparatus. It's pretty simple. Setting it up might take a little time to get used to, but I'm going to show you how I did this card today with that tool. So let's go ahead and get started. So we always have to start with our basic materials. So today I'm using Marina Mist and Soft Sky as my two blues, and both of these blues are retiring out of our catalog selection. So if you want these blues in your collection for a while, you'll need to get those ordered. So you can order with me, my link is below, or you can order with your demonstrator, or I know many of you are demonstrators, so if you want these colors, scoop them up before they're all gone. Then I'm using thick Whisper White to create our embellishment on the front. And we're also going to use the Swirly Scribbles Thinlits to create our waves there. So let's go ahead and do some of our stamping first. I'm going to start with our thick Whisper White. Okay, and I'm going to bring in the Stamparatus. So I have already set my stamps on the tool to make the video go a little bit quicker for us. So I'm going to open up my panel. So I have two panels on my Stamparatus, and let me get this in the picture where you guys are going to be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, so caution, big caution. Ready? Caution! These are very strong magnets. When you get your Stamparatus, they're on the back side, separated from each other. Do not put them together. Okay, see how I got my hands wrapped around them? Do not put them together. They stick like glue. Ow! And are really hard to get apart. One demonstrator I've watched and consult with wrapped hers in some washi tape. So she found that when they did get together, she had a little more luck getting them apart. But the bad thing is that if you clink them together, they can crack and break. And when they do that, they're very jagged and they can be very sharp. Now, the good news is you can buy replacement magnets in the upcoming catalog. The bad news is that you'll either have a sharp magnet to use in the meantime or not have a magnet at all. So be very careful. And if you have the Big Shot magnetic plates around, don't stick them to that. If you have, I have one crafter who has a metal craft table, and I know she's had her Big Shot plate get stuck to that. You're not going to want to get these stuck to your table, so be careful of where you put them down. Okay? So I'm putting them apart for the moment. So I have a piece of thick Whisper White, and now I'm going to put my magnet down to hold my paper in place. So these are thin so that they're about the same width as your stamp width, or the height, so that they don't interfere or create any problem with that. So we're going to stamp our sailboat twice, actually, and you'll see why in a minute. But I've got those magnets down. So I've got my cardstock right in the corner. So now I'm going to bring in, we're going to start by stamping the boat. Okay, we're stamping the boat. So as you can see here, my little boat is red on the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to take my ink pad, or you could use your marker, and I'm just going to apply ink to my boat section. Okay, the bottom section. And I just flip that over and I press down, and then I lift it back up. Now those magnets help my paper from shifting in place. Okay, so there's that. Now I'm going to pull this arm off, flip it over, and I have on the other side my two sails. So I'm going to stamp those two sails, the solid sails, in the Soft Skies color. So I'm just going to ink up the sails. And I flip that down, and see how I lined up my stamps ahead of time? So they're going to be right in the same position. So if I were doing a demo swap, or if I wanted to make a series of cards with this image, I could keep repeating this without having to reposition my stamps every time, and without having to guess on that. Or sometimes we put all the stamps on one block, right? And then we use our markers, but then it dries and we have to huff it. This way, you've got like the method down. Once you set up your tool, you're good to make lots of stamps. Okay, so there's that. So now I have the textured sail on the top panel, and I'm going to do that with the Marina Mist. So the two color blues I'm using in my card, I'm using in my sails, And now that's positioned. Now you might notice I've got some ink on my plate. I'm not worried about it getting on my cardstock because it's lifted away. But you can clean that off. In the new catalog we'll have a chamois for that. But there you go. So see, my sailboat. It's all stamped up and I didn't have to worry about trying to line the images up over the top. Once I've done it, it's done. Now watch. I'm taking these off, remember keeping them apart. I'm going to flip my cardstock around because I actually want this image twice. Now you don't necessarily need it twice for this card, but what I've done is I've stamped it once and then I've cut out the images again and popped them up for some dimension. So I like that stamped image underneath. You wouldn't have to do that. You could do it once and just trim it out, but I'm going to do it twice. So watch how easy I'm able to repeat the process here. And you know what? It doesn't matter what order I stamp them in. So like if I want to do it in reverse, I can stamp my striped sail, push that down. Now I can come over here and do my soft sky sail. Press that down. Now I flip this arm over, right? This panel over. Do the red boat section. And I press that down. And voila! I've got two sailboats. Pretty easy, right? Okay. So now, taking those off, that's going to be my image here. Now, while I've got the Stamparatus here, I'm going to go ahead and do one more thing for stamping. You see on my card, on my soft sky panel, that we're going to end up embossing with the Seaside plate, I want to stamp my words first. If I stamp first and emboss second, then I don't have to worry about trying to stamp over an impression. So, what I've done is I have my soft sky. Now, the Lift Me Up set that I'm pulling the Sending Smiles Across the Miles stamp from is not photopolymer, it's our clear mount stamps. Okay, so our clear mount stamps have a rubber foam base on them. That's what this does for our photopolymer. Okay, it replaces that foam base. So I'm going to remove my foam base off of my machine here, my Stamparatus. I'm going to put my soft sky piece in my Stamparatus in the corner. I'm going to carefully put my magnets down to hold that in place. And I'm going to ink up my expression. Okay, you can see I got ink on there, but I'm not going to worry about it. And I can stamp this down so it'll be in the position I want it on my card. Pretty simple, huh? Okay. So let's go ahead and now you can see this is kind of hard to get off because that's a strong magnet in the base. So if I do it this way, we're going to get our workout. Maybe we need to start eating our Wheaties again. Okay, so I've got all my stamped parts done. Okay, so now I can set this aside without taking them off and come back and make more cards after. So don't necessarily take it all apart until you're sure you're done making your images. So I'm just going to put my magnets on there just to kind of support that. And I'm going to stick a piece of my mat in here just to pull this down. Now you can't store it with both arms, you've got to take them off. But just for the moment to set it aside while I'm working, I'm going to do that. Okay, so we've stamped our soft sky, we've got our two sailboats, we've got our card kit. Okay, so now let me tell you what I did next. You're going to take your soft sky and you're going to use your Seaside folder and you're going to emboss that on your big shot and see how I got before and after. Okay, magic of movies. Then I've taken, I have a strip of Marina mist, okay, and I've used the Swirly Scribble Thinlits that coordinates with the Swirly Bird set, and I've cut this wave pattern in, so let me remove that from the cardstock carefully. If you have your die brush, you could use that to help you remove it. I'm just going to use my piercing tool to get it kind of started. Push out of that die. bear with me for a minute. This is, when it cuts, it's very thin line, so you want to be a tad bit gentle with it. I would use my die brush, but I don't have it on the table in this part of my room, so see if I can get it started. Sometimes I still run wax paper in between my cardstock and my dies, just to help lube up the die a little bit to come out. Alright, I think we're going to get it. Alright, good. Alright, so got that. So that's going to create part of our panel on the front. Okay. And I'm going to use liquid Tombow to put that on when I do that. Then the last thing I did is I'm going to take my stitched shaped framelits, okay, and I'm using the circle one. I'm actually using the second to smallest circle one, okay, and I've taken that to my Big Shot. You see I've already done that, and you're just going to die cut one of those out so we get that fun embellishment, and then the other one we're going to have to trim out with our scissors. Okay, so I'll do that in a minute. Alright, so let's start working on putting our layers together. Okay, clean some of this stuff off the table. So first I'm going to mount my Soft Sky to my Marina Mist. Okay, so this is going to create like a mounted focal point. So I'm just going to put Snail on here and put that down. That's pretty easy. Alright, now hopefully my Tombow's going to work for me. You could also use your fine tip glue, whichever liquid adhesive you prefer to use. You are good to go. So on the back of here, I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive kind of along the edges. It doesn't have to be a lot, and I'll show you why in a second. Because of the way my card is designed, we're going to have some tails off the ends. And what I did was I just flipped it over and put Snail down, and like sometimes I'll wrap my ribbon around, I'm just wrapping these little pieces of die cut cardstock around. Okay, so that makes that easy. And then those are going to go up on dimensionals, and that's going to go onto the front of our card. Okay, so I'm going to bring the card in. So this goes right down on the center of the front of our card. So color on color here. Okay, so there's that. And while we're at it, we can go ahead and put the inside liner in our card. I always line the darker cards. Okay, so that's done. Now we have our die cut sailboat. I'm going to pop that up on a dimensional. And I'm putting that over here. Now, you could be done with your card right there. Okay? Easy peasy, and you could let it be. But if you want to, you can take your paper snips and you can trim out your second stamped ship. And I know some of you like paper snipping and some of you don't, so you have the option here of what you want to do. First I'm just going to come around and get kind of the general shape of the ship. And then I'm just going to trim these pieces apart. So right along the edge of our stamped pieces, take off this piece of white, and then I'm just going to cut the sails. So now I've got 3 segments, and now for this one I'm using my mini dimensionals. Just use the reach across the screen. And I'm just going to flip these all over and add a mini dimensional to the back of each one. Peel off their stickers. And add them right over the top like a puzzle piece. So again, this is an extra step. You wouldn't have to do this step if you don't want to trim them out, or if you were making lots and lots and lots of them. you might not want to do that. But for that little extra pizzazz on your card, you might decide to go ahead and do that. So again, if you only wanted to do the one cutout die sailboat, you wouldn't have to stamp 2 of them, but you saw how easy it was with Stamparatus. So there we go. There is our show and tell card for today. Again, I got these stamps from the Swirly Bird set and the Lift Me Up stamp set, which I believe are both continuing into the new catalog. So something fun to do with all these fun images. So I hope you enjoyed today's show and tell. As always, my links are below. The products I used are below. Sign up for my show and tell newsletter and you'll get the printout of this project with all my various steps and measurements. And I appreciate you all being here today. I hope you have a great spring day, and I'll see you all very soon with another Stampin' Show and Tell. Bye-bye.